So you got to be aware too of certain people that you're surrounding yourself. They might be trying to trigger you and install a negative thought process or to take you off of that path that you want to walk on, that you truly want to walk on. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Right, you mean you can have dad that buys you ice cream, that took you on vacations, that took you all around the world, fishing, but all you remember is the time that he fucking hit you over the fucking head and caused the scar of the hockey head, right?
Exactly.
Or the other fucking nasty shit. Those are the things that,
what ice cream?
What freaking, that sort of deletes the ice cream there,
Exactly.
So that's the problem. And so now what I try and do, because I don't want all that just on my shoulders, I sort of bring the class involved and I get them to, what do you guys think? And you can see the nervousness. They don't want to do that
Big
part
time.
of it.
Everyone's just like...
Everyone goes silent, and then I'm going somewhere, and then finally someone goes, is it his tonality? Is there a problem with his tonality? And I'm like, you don't say, eh? Well, way to step it up there. I appreciate that. And it happens to be the most perkiest person in the class.
Exactly.
Rose,
I was going to say Rose.
Rose. Does it happen to be his person, his tonality?
The most upbeat.
Right? Yeah, chirpy. And here's the other team. What do you mean, my personality or tonality?
Which was great before I asked a question that was completely off road. Well, it was
because
great.
he knows his 4 W's and he's practicing to change his tonality.
Right.
So listen, guys, here's something you got to realize. Here's something you have to know when you're in sales, business, whatever it is. I don't care. Even if you're in your work and you're in a corporate world, the business is not going to change for you. The customer is not going to change for you. You can't say to the customer and have success that, hey, this is how I am, take it or leave it. If you're going to have success in sales, you need to be able to adjust to the customer. And let me tell you something. The best example I have is like an actor. Imagine an actor shows up to the movie and they want you to have an English accent, and just say, oh, quite fine. This is fantastic, darling. Darling, it's just,
it's great.
Just amazing. That was a bit of an Australian accent.
Right?
And you decide to do, I don't know, some other accent, maybe an American. Okay, all right. Or maybe an Australian accent. Right. It's great, Mike. Okay.
Exactly.
And the director goes to you, no, he's English.
This is an English role.
He's in English. He's from UK. He's English, darling. Tea time, okay?
Right.
Okay, Mike. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change my accent. I think this is better for the script, and this is how I am. Take it or leave it. Now, the director is going to look at you and said, leave it.
There's the door.
Out. Hit the road, Jack.
Next.
Never come back. And you're going to be like, F them, blah, blah, blah. No one's going to tell me how I'm going to be. And this is the subconscious, and no one's, obviously I'm over-exaggerating, but your subconscious is not allowing you to succeed unless you're becoming aware that this is how your brain is functioning. This is how it thinks, and this is what it does for 90% of the people.
Right.
They're all saying that, oh, this is not how I'm supposed to be. This is not how I want to be. No, okay, listen, I'm not saying immoral. I'm not saying things that are going to break certain rules, laws, or anything like that. But we do have to change. When I got into sales, I can tell you, when I got into sales, I was they labeled people as introverts. So I would call myself, I'm more of an introvert, more of a quiet guy.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would just listen to everyone. It was more probably because I became from more of an unhappy, abusive background from my parents, so I just didn't speak very much.
Got you.
And I just sat quietly and I just listened and listened. And I realized that also when I spoke, even when I was, making friends, because of my, smart ass remarks, I would get a lot of backlash really quickly. Or, I would point flaws out to people and just one of my habits that I did. Yeah, I don't know. And, you're not going to make too many friends when you're doing that.
Oh, no, definitely not. Yeah. Hey, are you aware that...
right. Or they would say, oh, I don't understand why she never returned my call. And I would say something, well, it's probably because of this. And it was like, whoa. And they're like, never heard from that guy.
Right.
And so...
Wow, you give it to them.
Well, no, I just, whatever, you know. And the reality is that's not how people want to be treated, and that's not how you want to be treated. So I would say something, they would treat me like that back, and then you're all of a sudden just going quiet. So what I learned to do, and probably more from upbringing, is that I was just a very quiet kid who just listened to everything, right?
Then you got into sales.
Real estate changed me. Yeah. So, listen, if I didn't change, and I stayed a quiet kid door knocking, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now.
Really?
And then when I go open my brokerage and my broker, who I partnered up with, again, there's another episode on partnering, so you should get into partnering.
Hell yeah.
If you're buying your first house, opening your business, there's nothing wrong with partnering. But anyways, he got into business with me, and I did my first training class, and I thought, okay, who's gonna, 3-4 people? We just opened.
Yeah.
And Tom, everyone knew Tom Toro. This guy was like my godfather type of wings, like God angel or whatever.
Yeah.
And he freaking got like 50 people, 60 people to show up. The whole class was full. And I'm hyperventilating. I had to lock myself in one of the offices. I'm hyperventilating. I'm like, what is going on? What just happened? Why are there so many people here? What do they want from me?
Yeah, what do I say?
What did I sign up for here?
Holy.
And so I did my usual thing. I downed sugar and caffeine. Cafe mocha, I downed a whole one, and I just went off. And then they all applauded in the end because I don't stop talking. Once I do that, I can't stop talking for an hour and a half to 2 hours straight.
When you go off.
And I'm just going and going and going, and I see them, and I'm just analyzing because I have this bad habit, or I have this bad thing where I'm analyzing everything everyone's doing. I'm analyzing their eye movement, their body language, their head movement, their eye contact, everything constantly.
While you're up there?
Oh, yeah, every time.
As you're saying all this stuff?
Yeah, I'm reading. It's input, output, input, output, input, output, input, out. To see if my tonality is on, my body language on, to see if I'm saying the right thing, if I'm connecting, if I'm not connecting. You know, when you see someone doze off like this, you know that you're changing their thought process. So I look for that a lot too, where people sort of what's called zoning out. I'm sure you guys have done it. I'm sure you've done it, where all of a sudden someone's saying something and all of a sudden you're just zoned out.
Probably going to happen tomorrow.
It's something, it's basically where you have triggered the thought and changed the thought process. You've installed a new thought process into someone's head, and they're going back in time and rewinding everything that, oh my God, what if I knew this back then?
Back then, you got it.
And you run through all these episodes, and all of a sudden what that is doing, it's actually changing all your thought processes to where this became, where did I get this other thought process from? Who installed this bullshit in my head? And what if I had changed it back then, or I didn't have it, or someone gave me the right information back then? Where would I be today?
Where would I be today?
And that's a whole loop that goes on. And sometimes I have to snap people out of it, right? So they get back into it, because all of a sudden they're just zoned out for a little bit too long, and I'm looking straight at them. And they're not aware that I'm even looking at them. And then all of a sudden I go, Earth to Shawn. Earth to Shawn.
It's happened.
Yeah.
He's saying it because it's happened. Because you say something and it's exactly what you're saying. It brings me back into time, and I start thinking about that certain situation and how I would have reacted had I been aware of this thought process that I've now installed in my mind. And I'm just not even paying attention to what you're saying at this point, because I'm just thinking so, and you're like, hello.
And so the best way to do that is to make sure you're just taking notes.
Exactly.
You don't want to try and memorize this stuff. You want to take notes so you can go back and reread it and start to gain an understanding of it, because it's just triggering you, and it's creating a thought process. And so you got to be aware too of certain people that you're surrounding yourself. They might be trying to trigger you and install a negative thought process, or to take you off of that path that you want to walk on, that you truly want to walk on. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that. Well, why did that just happen? What thought got triggered for you to say or change your mind on the path that you wanted to walk, right? What is that?
It has a lot to do with who you're around.
Huge. So, I mean, recently I had a team member join up, and I had to ask her to, find another brokerage to go to. Because, there's just some massive doubts, so many questions, so many negativities, so much disbelief, just causing a major...
You can't work on that?
Ruckus. Well, it's, listen, I have a choice too, whether I want to or not to, right? It's not that I don't want to. It's when you're starting to disrupt other team members that it's a problem for me, because, as much as I want to do a one-on-one session, it's still a class session.
True.
Right?
And I just get this beautiful benefit.
And before, what I would do is I would bring that person up, and those guys it's basically, it's
the bazooka.
It's like they're a rock, a boulder, and you're sticking a stick of dynamite in it, and
well, their whole life they believed in this thought process.
And too many. There's a lot of them, right?
Jesus.
So some people, we don't just have one thought process. We have a ton of thought processes that are just improper.
Developed.
That don't make sense for the goal you want to achieve, right? How are you going to achieve it when you think the way you're thinking? It's impossible. It doesn't make any sense, and you got to change that. And luckily, while I was in a basement apartment, won a Pro Line ticket, which is what caused my major trigger to pay my rent when I couldn't pay rent or eat. One of the two, $20 is what I was down to on a regular monthly basis. Food or gambling. You know, I looked at myself in the mirror and I just go to myself, you're doing something wrong. Hans must be doing something wrong. And that's a trigger, right? And so now I purposely do this on a regular basis. When I don't see the results, like if I was looking here in 10 days, you know, we had 1 or 2 views. Luckily, like in 10 days, we got 50,000 views on TikTok. We got another 30,000 on YouTube Shorts.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you by that.
We
appreciate it. Like,
you.
you know, it's motivation for us. Otherwise,
100%.
right now I'd be looking in the mirror and going, I'm doing something.
Yeah, I don't know if we would have been here at 9 a.m. sharp today doing what we do every Thursday.
We're just not here on 9 a.m. We're here until 5, 6, 7 o'clock, just working on it, editing. Then we have our background editor. You know, I went out and bought 4K Netflix approved cameras. The lighting. Right? We have a hag up in the background. We got
the mics.
We have the Diane. I spent a bit of decent penny to get this up and running. And not that really matters. I think it still comes down to the content. Now I'm learning that it also comes down to the frequency, which means your tonality, your speed, the style you're talking into, your background music. I'm like, what is this? This is a new game for me. And I love games. I love games.
Oh, you guys should have seen Hans yesterday. I come into the room, he's like, can I talk to you for a second? I'm like, sure. I see him behind the computer going like this, like, all right, we got some comments. And he's just going off. So comment. I'm telling you, he sees them and he responds to them, and he's there. He's actually seeing them. So if you guys have any questions.
Yeah, I'm reading them. I mean, I'm a busy person, but I'm really sort of hooked into this right now.
Yeah.
And I love a new game. I love the challenge that that's giving me. It's new, it's refreshing, it's entertaining for me as well.
Yeah.
You know, sitting here and seeing your comments, because, you know, I'm putting shit out there and I'm waiting to see what kind of shit you're going to throw back at me, right? And you know, I'm obviously, you know, I have no expectations of this. I have zero expectations. I have a lot of I could say I have doubt. I'm not going to say here, I'm telling Shawn, I go like, this is all. This is just a bunch of, you know. Right? But there's one thing different that I'm different than everybody else. And this is something you might want to try to learn and start to acquire, is that what everyone else is saying, and even some people, they say, oh yeah, Hans, it's really going to work. And meanwhile, they're going, ha ha ha, that's never going to work, right? And then, you know, even myself, I just say, listen, I don't expect anything out of this. This guy over here is going, oh yeah, this is gonna, you know, there's some kind of payday. There's a gold, a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow type of mentality that this guy has, which is great. You want to be surrounded by that kind of personality. You don't want to be surrounded by there is no rainbow and there is no gold.
There is no gold.
Right. So and you know, that's probably the thought process I have in the back of my head. Not from this shit. Right.
Thanks, Hans. I'm just gonna take this out.
But here's the difference. Here's the difference with me and everybody else. And everybody else thinks this way. And I know they think that everyone has doubt. It's just part of the human brain. And so I have all my doubts and I do everything to extreme. But here's what I do. I have the doubt. I don't think it's going to do anything. My expectations are zero. And I do it anyways. I spend whatever this shit is that I spent on this camera setup.
Time.
I pay Hag up whatever his cost is. I pay Dan whatever his cost is. And
the time too.
And I put in the time. I don't mind putting in sometime the time, because, you know, I don't mind. It's like playing a video game.
Yeah, but your time is very
But it's like
valuable.
playing a video game still. You like your entertainment.
True.
So for me, instead of playing a video game or watching a movie or doing something silly that has no return value, no possibility of a return value, I'm playing this game.
Well, it's awesome to see the stats now that we've actually launched.
And it's like a game.
Yeah, it's
all
literally,
of a sudden, hey, we have this video. And of all videos, the video about my thought process about the universal bank, which is what just sort of blows every newcomer's mind when they walk in here and they're like, I thought I was going to learn about real estate.
Yeah.
Right?
That was the first thing that stuck to me. Like, a lot was said, obviously. Do you remember that one training where I sat in that corner and we went through the training and it was like 8:30 p.m. So we went through the trainings from 12:30 to 2:30, sometimes 3. But I was there at 8 p.m. Didn't move. I didn't even go to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah. I came in. I was about to leave and I go, I was about to lock up the boardroom because we have all our cameras and stuff in here. And I peek in and Sean's still sitting here.
Hasn't
his notebook. Yeah, it doesn't have him move. I don't even know he's just reading.
Just staring at my notes.
Yeah.
What just happened? What did just happen?
What did just happen to you?
Well, I was looking at all the notes and reading it. And like, you know, I went to Schulig, you know, they say business school, all this and that, one of the best ones. And like, I've been taking notes for 4 years, going to all these different lectures. And this one just hit different. Yeah. You know, this was just like wow, you really thought about life the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know?
In a way, that's my problem because, you know, I had some friends over.
Yeah.
It was a new friend we met through my little guy's go-karting. And I love it. And I like Formula One. And it's sort of, especially with the new whole thing. And we have
I saw it in your garage.
Yeah.
His little, yeah.
So, and I did the same thing to him. And he looks at me and, you know, I saw him recently and I don't think he seemed changed in his like friendliness to him. And he's super bubbly, super nice guy. Nice. His name's Jack. So a really nice guy. I really like this guy. And he came over and, you know, we had a couple glasses of wine and I start busting. He starts talking, you know, how the life works. And I go, no, that's not how it works.
Oh, no.
And I start telling him, this is how it works. And he looks at me and he goes, you know, it's sort of difficult. Isn't it difficult to sit there and tell someone who thinks for the last 30 years that they have it all right and this is how we're doing that. And now in one shot, literally in one drink, you're telling me I did it all wrong.
Right.
And I'm like, well, no, that's not my, cheers.
Yeah. Right. Oh my God.
And he's just coming over for a backyard like barbecue, have a burger, and the rest of the stuff. And then all of a sudden.
Not to think about life.
Well, he brought it up.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't bring this stuff up. I don't talk real estate. I don't talk nothing when I'm off time. Like everyone knows that rule. Right. Like, you know, I want my downtime too.
Yeah.
But in this case, he sort of brought up questions and not questions, or he was making bold statements.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was just like, you know, it doesn't work that way. And he goes, what do you mean? And then that opened up the
now
whole
you're going back and forth.
And especially,
and so what
Hans
happens?
has got a couple drinks in him. Oh,
what
my God.
happened?
He just went blank in his face and just go, so you're telling me I got it all wrong? My last 30 years of my life working for the government, have a great job. And what I'm supposed to do and all these other thoughts that I have. And he goes, that's a lot for someone to take in. I go, I didn't mean it for like that. I was just, you were telling me how it is. I'm telling you how it is. Like, that's all I thought it was.
But hey, the burgers are ready. So we can go
yeah. And luckily these burgers were from the butcher and they were like, you forget about all that. So hopefully you forgot out. But I sort of noticed on the next, I just went to the race.
Nice.
The practice we do on Saturday mornings with the little guy. Saw Jack. He just did not seem like the friendly Jack anymore. And I'm hoping he just had a bad day or whatever. But
he was just moved because you do that.
Yeah, you know, but maybe he just, you know, that's why I only want to do it to people in class or people who purposely have decided to stop and listen.
Right.
Because it's life-changing thought process I'm going to install in your head.
It is.
Whether you like it or not.
Yes.
And that's just what's going to happen because that's just the way I see life. That's the way I know life is. I've been in the other side. I've been in the sewers. I've been in the gutters. Yeah. I've been in the 9-to-5s. I've been in the corporate worlds. I've done all the different stages.
Yeah.
And I know what we're being trained or what we think we know.
Yeah.
For the 90% of the people out there is just wrong.
Yeah.
It's slave labor that we're in. And everyone's in slave labor at some level.
Yeah.
We're all here to serve. So, I mean, that's our purpose. But a lot of smart people are out there.
Right.
And because they're being brought up, like geniuses are out there that can just do things that they know they can do. And they never get the opportunity because they're being closed off at an early age and they're being closed off from showing their true talents and their true abilities.